So, another day, another dime, another movie, and fuck, took forever to actually finally watch this, but I mean, you want to know something really stupid? Do you know why this movie
Go
was
ahead.
actually banned in the Middle East? Or
I mean,
specifically Egypt and the UAE?
I did hear from you initially about the gay scene, and that's what I also read online for a couple other countries.
Well, I'll tell you why. It's not only because it's a gay scene, it's because it's an Arab gay man in the movie.
Oh,
Yeah, because the guy who plays the actor who's, what's his name? Fuck, I keep on forgetting the names of the actors, or the
Fastos?
characters mainly. Yeah, Fasto's husband. He's a Lebanese actor who portrays a gay Arab man, so
yikes!
that's why. Yeah, it's fucking stupid. It really is. But yeah, that's why I
Well,
got pulled.
what else is stupid about this film? According to critics, the entire film is stupid because it's by far the lowest rated Marvel movie of all time. The MCU movie, I shall say.
Yeah, no, it is. It is the lowest critically acclaimed MC movie, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. Do you want to begin?
48%. I mean, yeah, go ahead, man. But 48%.
All right, well, let's go. Hello, and welcome to the 11th episode of the Movie Buffs. I'm your host, Mansoor.
And I'm Yerka. So today we're here to talk about The Internals, the
Finally.
lowest rated MCU movie to date. That is directed by Chloe Zhao, who is the reigning winner of the Academy Awards. For the best director and best movie for the movie
Yes,
Nomadland.
Nomadland, yeah, which is
Yeah.
ironic. I feel like, I mean, no offense to Chloe Zhao, no offense to the MCU and everything, but like, after directing an Oscar-winning film, it's kind of taking like 2 steps forward, 1 step back to go directing like a very like, lower tier Marvel movie. I mean, I'm not saying that it's
Lower
a bad
tier.
movie, but not lower tier, but you get what I mean, because like you got like the higher point characters, like you got the Avengers, you got like all the sideline characters, you got Guardians of the Galaxy and all that shit, but like she decided or was hired on to like an entire new group of cast, whole characters and storylines and everything that we haven't even been introduced to before. So
I
it's
mean,
interesting. Like
It's similar. It's a similar situation that we had with Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like a bunch of people, and Guardians of the Galaxy was like a big risk for Marvel to take at the time. Especially a lot of people were critiquing Marvel to
But
make
the-
that move, but
But I mean, thing is, it was a good and smart move, especially since they had like a very good director at the helm of it who like fit the bill perfectly.
I
So
think, well, we'll get to that. I just want to say, like really quickly, what a roller coaster, not just for Chloe Zhao, but for Kevin Feige. Because if you remember, if you go to the start of 2021, where the talk of Eternals started a little bit, and there was a lot of Oscar buzz from Kevin Feige that they were kind of looking to push Eternals for Best Picture, and like everyone
okay.
at Marvel were like in awe of how good Eternals is. So it's like a big step down, like given like how it was received with critics.
Well, I mean, can I be honest? It's not a bad movie, but like
Tell me your
it's-
score. Tell me your score. Let's go.
Honestly, I give it a 4. Like, cause I'll
What?
explain. I give it a 4. I'll explain.
4?
Okay. I no disrespect. It was a decent movie. Like it was a movie. But like there is so much I have to say about it that just kind of turned me off to it on like a more subjective level. But like on an objective sense, it's a 4. So like it's nothing bad or it's nothing great. But I'll explain. Anyways, what's your score?
we have a Dune Part 2 here because I'm giving it an 8.
Oh, you're giving it an 8? Okay.
Yeah. I'll explain why too. Like I understand and I have a theory to why this movie is so badly received by critics. But even when you look at the general audience's score, that score is way higher. I think it's in the higher 70s right now. So
I mean, I can agree and see why people would score it in the higher 70s. Like, considering it's not it's not like Thor 2 or
Oh no
you
no
know,
no by no
by
means
no means it's anywhere near that. Like it's not one of the worst MCU movies
no it's
made
not it's not.
by any means. But the problem is that so for me it's not that it lacks substance, it's not any of that. Like you got a good cast, you got a good everything, but the problem is for me personally is story. Like the story itself feels it drags on too long, yet at the same time it's kind of lackluster. Like
Yep.
you feel
I
so
agree.
many elements of it that are just regurgitated from so many other stories that you've seen. You feel like it's the alternate version of Justice League with a couple of tweaks, with now also a world-ending plot, and also like kind of mixing in a little bit of the MCU here and there, but there is no gut punch. There is nothing grounding. There's nothing like that can really pull you into the story much, because in a sense, it's literally just the Justice League. Like it literally is
Yeah.
just the Justice League.
It is, but honestly, is it not better than the Justice League? In many ways,
Do you
I'm not
mean
saying
the movie or the original content? There's a difference.
the movie.
The movie or the original?
We're
Okay,
talking
yeah,
movies.
okay. So
Even comparing
definitely-
it to Zack Snyder's cut.
okay, definitely better than the Snyder Cut, because like I have no problems with any of the filmmaking elements that they've made with this. Like it was very meh, like to the most average or slightly above average degree you can get with filmmaking regarding this movie. CGI was not bad, acting was good,
Yeah.
the screenwriting was okay. A couple of the jokes actually like cracked me up a bit and everything, but like you don't feel like you get to connect enough with the characters. Like you don't feel like you get enough time to actually get to know the characters well enough and like get attached to them. Cause like Gilgamesh was only on the screen for like what 15, 20 minutes and then he dies.
Well, and still his death, at least for me, was kind of, because he, like, in the 15 minutes that he gets, like, he was a great character for me personally.
He was a great character, but like you don't spend enough time to actually like I personally for me I don't feel like it was enough time to get attached. Like I could sense he was a good character with good potential and
Yeah.
everything, but like not enough for me to like wallow over his death. You get what I mean?
Oh, yeah, of course, like,
So
in 15 minutes, you won't obviously be like, have, comparing it to other movies, like, let's say, when a franchise spends many movies with one character and then they
Yeah.
die.
I mean, give him an hour.
Yeah.
Give him an hour and then kill him off. This movie is 2.5 fucking hours long. You could have given him a fucking hour, man.
So I'll get into why I think, just really quickly, let's see how much you agree with me.
Okay,
Uh,
shoot.
So I feel like this movie had arguably the most potential of any MCU movie out there.
I feel like it had high potential, but not the most. Like it was up there, but like not the most.
Well, let's compare it to Shang-Chi, the latest Marvel movie.
Okay.
So I gave that
compare
movie.
contrast. Sure.
Yeah, I gave that movie a 9, and I honestly don't think, on any scale, the way that movie was constructed, I don't think the movie could have been better. The way they chose to, and that's nothing bad. Look, 9 out of 10 is near perfect score, but
Yeah.
I think Eternals, with the story that they went with the characters, that's the biggest thing. I think like the characters in this film are amazing. Like I loved, like it's really hard to have introduced not just one but 10 superheroes, and like all of them. And I personally, I'm not speaking about everyone else, but personally, I did like every single character that they introduced, and their powers. They all had interesting storylines in what they were doing, so I really loved the part that they did there. But you're right, they didn't have enough time to develop. The story kind of got slightly sidetracked. The villain situation's not great at all, and
I'm sorry, but the villain sucked. Like straight up, the villain was just.
now there's two ways that they could have approached this. You know how one of the deviants kind of mutated into this randomly talking guy. They should have just completely cut that, have the deviants stay the deviants, and have Icarus be the villain.
Yeah, but here's the problem, because like they don't really reveal that twist till a little later on, and it's like you kind of see it coming,
Yeah,
but
you do.
you don't give a Chekhov's gun to it. Because like back to the conversation about how to reveal twist villains, you need to give a little dramatic foreshadowing or dramatic irony in order for the audience to catch on, like there's something wrong with this guy. He's doing something weird. He's doing something off. For them to be like, oh, okay, so he's a twist villain. It's more about revealing the twist villain earlier on and then allowing the characters to understand that while we know, versus giving subtle hints in the beginning and then hitting you with the twist. Like, they did not do a good job with revealing the twist villain. But like,
for me, the biggest mistake that they did was, I personally, I didn't, I feel like his character and the way that he kind of changed and was on the side of, the Celestials at the end until like the very end.
No, that was stupid. That was
that
so
that
fucking
part
stupid. No, and then like, you're right. You're powerful now. Okay, let me just transform myself and help you. Oh, okay, Celestials are done. All right, now I'm gonna go commit fucking suicide into the sun.
That part I didn't like, but the way that he was revealed the villain, I personally did like his, because we did see slight hints of him like being, is this really right that we're trying to stop them? We did see like little hints here and there, but for me the biggest problem that they did, if you remember I know you're not a guy who watches trailers, but the very first fucking shot that we see of Eternals in a trailer is with Salma Hayek and Richard Madden, knowing that they two had a conversation, and when we see Salma Hayek in the movie, she's dead at that ranch that we see her in the trailer.
Okay. So it kind of that's why.
They spoiled it in the very first shot.
This is why I don't watch trailers.
Yeah.
This is why I don't watch trailers, because I like to go in blind and even-minded, so then I have no expectations and just walk in, experience it fully unbiased, and then walk out and give like my unbiased like perspective on it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so.
Wait, let me just really quick, because I completely forgot to say with my theory why I think this movie's badly rated. Well,
sure, go ahead.
Like I was saying with Shang-Chi, I think Shang-Chi didn't have the potential of Eternals in No World in the way that movie was constructed, even though that film is, for me personally, way better than Eternals.
Personally, for me, Shang-Chi is way better than Eternals.
Yeah.
But
So for me, Eternals has the massive potential. The cinematography is pretty good, the characters are amazing, the story that they choose has a lot of potential, the world building has a lot of potential, but they kind of brush through everything. They kind of don't spend enough time.
The
here and there.
pacing is such a fucking whiplash.
Yeah.
Because they slow down in the most unnecessary parts, and then they speed through some of the most important information.
True.
True. It fucking annoyed me, because I was like, you could cut this, and this out, and shave it down to like an hour and 45 minutes, yet still have all the prevalent information and keep it well paced. Instead of having it at 2.5 fucking hours, you could have shaved off 45 minutes and still kept the same effect. Honestly, like, one of the biggest turnoffs was the runtime for me personally, because I don't mind long movies, but like, you got to keep it well paced, and you got to keep the audience inactive
into
the film.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, like there's a lot of potential in this film, and I think the movie does show its potential, and I think everyone critics especially see that potential. So, it's way easier to nitpick and see what's wrong in a high potential film than something like Shang-Chi, where I'm not saying that movie doesn't have potential or anything. Like I said, it's a 9 overall for me. So this movie that has the potential of a 10, you can much easier see, the pacing issues, the story issues, the editing, timing issues. Like it almost pisses you off more here in this film than it would in a movie like Shang-Chi. What do you think?
I mean, I agree, but like at the same time, it's also because like on an objective level with what it did and how it came out in the end, like it's an okay movie, but there were just so many simple mistakes that were made. Not simple as in the sense of like, oh, like post production could fix that. Like, no, like I'm talking about like if they realize this, like, you know, obviously like foresight or like, you know, what's it called? Hindsight is 2020. But like, if you were to look at this, if the people who made the movie were watching the movie now and then were able to travel back in time and change anything, I'm sure with fixing those minor issues, it would have gone up a bit, especially in regards to story and pacing. Like, those are just the two biggest issues I have with the movie that just turn me off in that sense. And I'm not talking about, like, potential story. I'm talking about how there were certain aspects that were unnecessary, and there were certain, like, ideas that were dragged out for so long to the point where, like, you don't really understand the importance or don't see that it's, like, in high regard to, oh, like the final outcome of the story itself. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's
also,
why.
One of the biggest problems that I had. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. Dude, finish. It's okay. Go ahead, man. It's cool.
One of the biggest problems for me personally was that the lead, Cersei, was for me kind of the worst character. Don't you feel that way too?
I wouldn't say she's the worst character. I'd say she's very lackluster, like out of the rest of them.
Like she's
very
like the most average, right?
She is. Look, for me, like the two to three characters who I actually love the most out of the movie are Kumail Nanjiani, the guy who plays the Bollywood star.
He was amazing.
Yeah,
and
he did a terrific job.
Yeah,
okay,
and his butler too. He was great. His butler.
Yeah, his butler, 100%. Like, it's one of those comedic pieces where, like, it works.
Yeah.
And then the third one was Phastos, or whatever
yes.
his name. Phastos, yeah. Like, those three were, like, the best characters in the movie, and they managed to make it work. I'm not saying that they carried the movie on their shoulders, but, like, they felt the most fleshed out characters out of the entire film, even though, like, they were some of the more minor characters in the film.
So personally, I loved Druig as well. I loved the speedster. I completely forgot her name.
I liked Druig. I liked the speedster, but for me, Angelina Jolie, like, she's just playing Angelina Jolie.
but again, like, she was good. She had, like, Fina had the character that was kind of, like, what was cool was, like, they were all so unique, and the relationships among them were so unique as well.
You could feel that there was a different form of chemistry between them, yes, but I feel like Thena was one of those characters that, like, you could have gotten so much more out of, honestly. Like, with regards to the potential of the character of, like, her being the inspiration of the goddess of war in ancient Greece, you're like, okay, I can understand why, but, like, you could expand the story a little more. Like, you could give a little more, like, flesh her out a little more. Like, give a little more flavor to that. But
so there's three things that I think they should have done 100%. Like you were saying, there's a lot of things that they could cut and shave it down. But I think the biggest 100%. Thing they should have done is make it longer. Like, add more to each character, add more to, a little more exposition.
Well, they didn't have to make the time longer. They just had to shave down. Like, they could have kept it at the same length, but they could have shaved down all the unnecessary parts and replaced it with actual dialogue and actual character information and time to flesh out the characters instead.
Well, I still feel like if this was a 3-hour movie, for me personally, it would work. And it would help the movie that has 10 new superheroes that we didn't meet in the MCU to this date. And there's this whole new mythology with the
We're not pulling a Schneider cut and trying to make it like 4 hours long, like 4.5 fucking hours.
Well,
but like, I get what you mean. I get what you're trying to go for, but like 3 hours already in itself is already a pulling stretch that, like, I don't think Marvel can afford unless if they've created amazing characters.
They did. For me, I don't feel like the first time characters that we see them that are a family and have this complex of a relationship, like straight out the gate, not developed over like many movies, but straight out the gate we see all 10 new superheroes where each one has, you know, very different relationships. I feel like they did an amazing job with this certain aspect, and I feel like they did have a lot of characters, and that's like the second thing that I wanted to. Two more things that I they also could have made it like a part 1 and a part 2, where part 1 is set in the past and part 2 is set in...
I agree with part 1, part 2. I agree with the part 1, part 2. I don't think, because especially with what you're trying to talk about, within the sense of fleshing out the characters more and making this, building the like world and like adding in more to the atmosphere itself, like a part 1, part 2 would have been perfect. But making it 3 hours, you'd feel like you're cramming too much into too little time.
That's
because
similar, man.
with, yeah, well, not really, because at least if you have 2 1-hour 45-minute movies, or 2 2-hour movies, you have way more time to actually spend with the characters, spend on the world building, spend on understanding what the situation is, removing all the unnecessary information while also building up the entire story itself overall, allowing it to culminate slowly and slow cook over time, and then being able to let it all come to a head in a beautiful climax in part 2, that would probably make it one of the best MCU movies. If it managed to pull that off from the start, if it managed to do the follow through completely, cut out all the unnecessaries, kept it at a good runtime, and then split it into 2 parts, it would have improved it so much more, especially with removing any unnecessary story elements and keeping it at a good pace. That would have fixed so many things. Like, personally, in my opinion.
I agree. And the last thing that I want to suggest, that I didn't come up with this, but I saw it online, and I think that is an amazing idea. What if Eternals was a Disney Plus show, and there were a 10-episode Disney Plus show, and each character got their episode individually?
Fuck yeah, that would have been a whole lot better. I'm surprised they didn't make it a Disney Plus show.
Because you see how they're kind of introduced one by one? You know, when we meet, you know, we meet Druig at a very late part of the movie. We kind of meet Phastos also very late. So every single character could have had their episode, you know, kind of titled with their character just spaced out over 40 minutes.
With a little more
45 minutes.
background, we could have made it like 45-minute episodes, cut it up into 10 bits, spend like maybe 5 or 6 episodes like introducing each character and getting to know them and everything, their background, and then spent the first episode on introduction to the world, and then the last 3 episodes on the battle and everything else.
Yeah, I feel like
that would have been.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
So for me, like, to justify my 8, I really love the characters. I love the potential in the story, and I would love to see this continue in the future. I do think there needs to be a lot of polishing done, but just the potential on its own and how well I think the characters were written, and you know, the relationships and stuff. I feel like that this for me really is an 8. Like, I really love it had a good balance of comedy, you know, dramatic moments, you know, emotional moments. Like you were saying, there's a lot of things that could be fixed, but it still didn't stop me from generally really enjoying the movie. I came out really happy.
And I don't disagree with you. And I don't like have any quarrels against your own opinion or your own perspective. But in my case, I still hold it at a 4. Not because I hate it, not because I believe it's a bad movie by any means. It's just it's a decent movie, but the problem is that like, and it's not about the idea of all this potential and problems are holding it back, but from a purely objective standpoint, filmmaking standpoint, it's okay. But the only 2 things that are dragging it down are the pacing and the story, like how the story and pacing are mixed together, and like how much. If those 2 were fixed, I could have pushed it up to a 6, like a 6 or 7 easily.
By the way, can we just talk about how amazing each of the powers looked on screen, like the CGI?
They did a good job. They did
there's
actually
like
pretty
one
decent
shot
job with
where the CGI didn't look great, but the powers, like, oh my god, it looked amazing. Like, even Phastos, who like you would think like, okay, he's the tech guy, he probably doesn't do nothing, but then like when he takes on Icarus, wow, really cool. And I'm excited once it comes out on digital and on Disney Plus, so I can watch it again. I probably won't go to the theaters to see it again, but like, you know.
Oh my god. I had to see it in the shadiest and seediest screening ever. Like, they showed it as like a one-time screening in a cinema like right next to my fucking house. Cause I was like, I ain't fucking going all. I'm like traveling out of the fucking country or like pirating it to
Of
be able
course.
to watch it. So like
Well,
I just
there you go.
decided
That
fuck it.
that probably ruined your experience too.
No, it's not that.
I
Cause
know,
like
I'm
no,
just kidding.
it was still in high quality and everything like any other screening, except because it was technically illegal. We still got it in like high definition, everything, good sound and everything. But like there was no Arabic subtitles because they technically didn't release it in the Middle East. So
Of course.
except for like Lebanon and a couple other places. But yeah, so I mean, again, at the
By the
end
way,
of the day,
what did you think of the post-credit scenes?
they didn't show them. I didn't see the post-credit scenes.
Oh.
They pulled out. Like, they
okay.
literally, as soon as the movie finished, they were like, okay, leave, leave, leave. We don't want to get arrested. So, yeah, no, we didn't watch the post-credit scenes.
Well, hopefully they don't watch this video. Cut to black.
It's fine, fuck it. Whatever. But, okay, so one aspect, okay, other than those two aspects, one aspect that, like, really pissed me off. Remember how they made a shitty cover of, what's it called? Smells Like Teen Spirit and Black Widow?
Yeah.
They used fucking Time by Pink Floyd. It was like, why? What's the point? Like, what is the point? I heard like the don't know no no at the beginning. I'm like, no. No, 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 no. And then I heard the entire song play out, and I'm sitting there like in disbelief. I'm like, why would they take probably one of the greatest songs ever written and performed and put it in this movie? I'm not saying that this movie is not worthy of it, but like there is no point of putting the song Time in a movie about eternal beings, because it's literally a nihilistic song about how time and life is short and how life itself is pointless. Yet the movie itself is about eternal beings who save the world.
Well, yeah, but their whole life was also kind of, you know, they realized it was pointless because they were protecting humankind only to eventually destroy it. That's their whole mission.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, because, like, it looks at it from the point of view of, like, oh, one day you wake up, you're a child, you go out and play in the sun, you stay inside to like, away from the rain, and then you go on, and then one day you just wake up, you're old, you're sitting by the fire, waiting for your bones to turn into dust, like that. Not in the sense of, oh, we've lived on this planet for thousands of years, like, no, it's, like, in the blink of an eye. It's ironic, because movies talking about extended time, songs talking about shortened time and how short life feels.
Well, yeah,
Anyways.
of course there isn't like a, you know, a song dedicated to Eternals, unless someone would write it specifically for the movie. And I personally didn't mind it. Like, for me, again, like, I came out of the theater, and look, like, going in, I was kind of scared, because I did see the negative reviews, and I was like,
Yeah,
holy shit,
fair
like,
enough.
is there gonna be a Marvel film that I really, like, genuinely won't like? And I see the issues, I see why people are critiquing it, but I don't personally, like, again, I'm not speaking for you, I'm not speaking for everyone else out there, but
No,
for
I get
me
it, man.
personally, it worked enough on so many levels that I enjoyed it overall.
Okay, no, and I'm not disagreeing with that, nor like going against your opinion and everything, especially like your own personal perspective on it and seeing potential. But like, even with the potential, as I said at the end of the day, and I hate being a broken record, like there are still issues that really can't be overlooked on my end, where I have to be like, okay, I get it, and it's not a bad movie by any means, but those issues for me personally just bothered me to the point where I feel like I gotta give it a 4 as like a way of just kind of, you know, representing how I felt about the movie. It's not a bad movie by any means. Like, on regards of objective filmmaking, it was well done, but there's nothing new, there's nothing interesting, and there's nothing outstanding in regards of filmmaking. And other, like, the pacing and story for me were just... But oh well.
It's like the complete opposite of, that's like the opposite of our scores too, of Dune. Where kind of no, but really, where Dune takes a movie that could be 1 hour, and it spaces it out, which isn't for me. We could discuss that. So it's like two complete opposite spectrums. So it's interesting to see like how different movies tackle it with different strategies. Whereas Eternals, they tackle thousands of years in one movie essentially.
Well, okay, so here's the thing about Dune, because, like, we're talking about 3 books condensed into 2 movies, and they're trying to, like, oil it up and, like, move it along as best as possible while trying to capture the scale and magnificence of the details of the book itself. So I can understand your perspective, but in the meantime, with Eternals, like, yeah, no, it's also dealing with thousands of years worth of everything, but, like, the problem is it sacrifices story for... It sacrifices a lot of the more important details for stuff that are unnecessary on the sidelines, but I digress.
That's Eternals.
Anyways. But, yeah, that's it. That's Eternals. Alright, well, I mean, now at least we finally got that out of the way. But, we still have a couple more movies left actually one more movie left before the Christmas special. I think what are we going to be talking about for next week, by the way? What are you thinking?
I mean, there's a couple movies. I recently watched House of Gucci.
Oh yeah, House of Gucci. That'd be actually a good one to discuss because I'm looking forward to it.
Did you watch that film?
I haven't yet, but it just released, and I can literally see it tomorrow. So,
dude, I'm also really excited to talk about the most anticipated movies of 2021. I mean 2022. Sorry, and we'll also be saying our favorite movies of 2021 as well as the biggest disappointments of 2021. So there's gonna be a couple interesting, videos coming our way.
Bits here and there, but like obviously right after the Christmas special, we're gonna be taking a little bit of a break because, like, Christmas, New Year, spending with families and everything, and then of course as soon as all of that's over, we'll be coming back and doing more. But otherwise, I mean, till then, we still got 2 episodes to go.
Of course.
But yeah, we got House of Gucci, and then we got our Christmas special of Home Sweet Home Alone versus Home Alone. So look forward to that. All right,
That will be interesting.
It will be a very interesting discussion, I must say. Very interesting discussion. All right, well, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave a comment down below. Please, if you like the video, like and subscribe, so then we can, continue making content, and even, you can catch us on whenever we release our next episode. But for next week, something completely different. Would you like to add something?
See ya. That's it. That's
Peace.
all I got.
That's all right. Peace.
See ya.